Great to have everyone back. Today we're going to hang out with Booker Corrigan. So welcome, Booker. It's great to have you.
It is phenomenal to sit between you two ladies. I can't wait to see what unfolds.
Yeah, neither can we.
And neither can the listeners.
So we want to thank everybody for hanging out with us again and for listening to hopefully the last few episodes. So welcome back. And Lauren,
Hi, Sharon.
Hi.
You don't
Good
have to lean in like that every time.
I know. We're like leaning in.
Booker, I'm used to when someone puts something like this in front of my face. I can't help it. I just naturally.
I want the listeners and viewers to know that
I naturally lean in.
That is a topic that shall
We're
be covered.
still learning. That's right.
So why don't we start by talking a little bit about like who you are, Booker, and
Born Scott Corrigan, and I was a C-section, and I was born at 65. And in those days, the father wasn't in the room.
Wow, 1965.
Yeah, I'm that old. So fathers weren't in the room, and I think they kind of went like, yo, it's a boy. Now you have to name it. My dad's not there. Scott is not a family name. I think Scott was the orderly.
Okay.
And my mom, who was woozy because I was the first C-section, she was a little woozy, and she kind of looked up and saw his name tag and said, Scott. Scott's not a family name. My dad never in my life called me Scott. Even when he was mad at me, he wouldn't call me Scott. Like I was spigot because I threw up everything that they gave me for about 3 years. Born with a club foot. I was like the most high maintenance baby, but then turned into a middle child. And I'm a Hall of Fame middle child. I would sit in the car. If we were going to 10:30 Mass at St. Catherine's on a Sunday, I would be in the car at 10:05 while the head yelling and screaming went on behind me in the house. You can't wear that. Why aren't you already in the car? I can't believe. I would walk up to my mom and say, I'll be in the car. Don't need to see this. So then I became Booker when I was about 7 or 8. My dad started calling me that. And I kind of grew into it.
But how does he get Booker? Like, how do you don't just pull that from?
It was an expression, like let's book. We got to book out of here. And then I was Booker Boy actually at first. I was Booker Boy.
Booker Boy, the kid that's first into the car.
Yep.
He books into the car.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
And it also came out in sports and all that stuff, so it was very fun. And I've grown into what I'd like to think is the best version of Booker. I'm the only one of a kind, like a Tigger.
So we have a similar story from when we were born because just like you, my father was not in the room. And I was born in 1966, so we're almost the same age. And so my mom, after she had me, my father only wanted a boy. So he refused to come to the hospital. And the first person to visit my mom was my grandparents. And their last name was Sharon, spelled Charron, because they were Canadian.
Right.
So Sharon, French.
So how do you spell your name?
Sharon. So
please, viewers, can you turn your cell phones off?
Turn your cell phones off.
My God.
So that's how I was named. I was named after my grandparents.
Yeah, so it's interesting how that came, because there's no Scott in our family.
Yeah.
There's no history. There's no great-great-father Scott who did something. It was just, I think it came out of my mom's mouth, and she was like, you know what? There's not a lot of Scotts in the world. Let's go with Scott.
Well, I think it's interesting then we all have the same fact that none of our fathers saw us born because my father wasn't in the room either. My parents had a 1.5-year-old daughter at home. They went to the hospital thinking my mother was having one baby.
No kidding.
And my dad left the room to tell everyone they had a beautiful daughter named Catherine, and when he came back in the room,
the placenta has
much to his horror, the placenta they were removing needed to be named as well.
You are the greatest placenta I've ever met. I want you to know it.
I appreciate that, Booker. And then, to that note, being an identical twin, Booker's married to an identical twin.
Yes, it's kind of cool because we live about a mile away from each other, and Jackie is the twin sister. I'm married to Tanya, and they're both just phenomenal. But Jackie's clearly the alpha in it, and we've had the conversation with her where we say...
Does Tanya agree that she's the alpha?
Oh, yeah. We've had the conversation where Jackie will say, this is what we're going to do, and I'm like, just go with it, because she's not going to back down. She gets the call. So it works out.
Was she the oldest?
She is. by
Were
like
you?
2 minutes
you
or
weren't.
whatever.
You're the
Are you-
youngest. So is your sister the alpha?
I'm the youngest.
Yeah. So is your sister the alpha?
I think she tries to be the alpha, but
Can you
we all
alpha this?
know who the
alpha,
alpha is. Ask
Yeah.
my husband; he'll
Yeah.
tell you who the alpha is. And they look a lot alike, Booker. I mean, how'd you meet her?
Tanya and I met at a lacrosse game. The 1 minute story is I just finished coaching and I was exhausted, but I knew our company needed some work done on field 4 to go run the clock. So I walk up and they're like, oh, we have a mom running the penalty time. And we always like to have someone on our staff or someone who we're paying to run the penalty time. So I go up and there's Tanya running the penalty time. And I take one look at her and I'm like, I'm going to keep her around for a little while. So I come up and I say, I'm here to relieve you, but I don't really know a lot about this sport. So if you could stay for a little while until I kind of get accustomed to what's going on, that would be great. So we're going through the game and the ref makes a call. If you're familiar with lacrosse, he calls a 1 minute trip, which a lot of referees will downgrade. And I actually said to the ref when he called it, I said, you know, sir, a lot of refs will downgrade it to a hold or a push. That way it's only 30 seconds because he didn't really mean to trip him. And she looks up at me and goes, haven't seen a lot of these games, have you? Which I thought was hilarious. Yeah, she totally called me out.
So she knew right away.
Yes, right then she called me out. But then they won the game. It was the semifinals. And I said, well, you know, we're good luck. We got to do the game together. Didn't get her number, but I was convinced I could through the registration books. It became a lot easier. I was taking down a tent. And her son, who I had met and been in the team pictures with when
You
they won
did
the
not go through her son, did you?
I did. So, well, it's kind of an interesting that you go in the men's room, you come out, and there's 4 fields everywhere you look. So it all looks the same. He turns the wrong way. And I recognize him, and I'm like, hey, are you lost? And his name's Patrick. And he says, yes, I can't find my mom. Let's give her a call.
Oh, that was smooth.
Booker Corrigan.
Do you know her number? Yeah. So her son is her wingman for this.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a great.
And then how far into the relationship of dating Tanya was it when you met Jackie?
Oh, long time, because we were doing a long distance relationship. I was still in Baltimore. She was in Sarasota, and I would fly down or she would fly up like once a month. And that went on for about 5 years.
Okay, and I want to, though, take it back a second. I do have a few more questions about that with Tanya and Jackie, but I do want to ask you, so you were married and divorced.
Yes.
How long were you single for, like, out on the dating scene?
Divorced in 2009 and met Tanya in 2014.
Okay,
so it's
Can
solid
you
5 years.
explain to Sharon and me and our listeners as well, because we're all about, hanging with women, whether you're 20, 40, 60, 80, and certainly at any age you can find yourself suddenly single. Either you've never been married, you get a divorce, or you've been dating someone a long time, you break up. So give us a little inside info from the other side. What avenues did you take to try and meet women after you got divorced?
One of the things I will say, and I've said it 100 times to friends who are going through it or friends who ask that same question, it's like being in high school again. Everything's open and possible, but you also have to realize that you could be wasting time with somebody that you just met, and some people do like to just spin their wheels on dating sites and text back and forth for 5 days, and then they get on to the next person or whatever, and it never matriculates. You also love going to like the supermarket, the movie theater, your kids' events, because that's where you're probably going to meet your next significant other. Like you met your husband at the gym.
Yeah.
And it's a great way to meet. And I know you and Gabby met at a sporting event.
We
Correct?
did meet at a sporting
But
event.
did you
yes.
do any of the dating apps?
I did.
Were you on
I
Match
did.
or
And
Tinder?
some of them were, not to be blunt, but I know you guys have covered some different topics like anal bleaching. So I don't think I'm out of bounds. Some of the
What do you
women
think of that
on the...
before you move on
I
from
think
that? Wait a minute.
Let's revisit that. I hate
Okay,
to take.
okay.
I'm not.
All right,
I don't
go
want to hijack the show,
Okay.
but I will say, some women are very fast to reply and to connect and to make themselves readily available for an interesting, tremendous experience, and then they are ready to move on.
Okay.
Or you're like one of the two of you says, hey, this was great, but it all happened so fast that there's a different level of, I don't know, you don't want to meet your future significant other in a one-night stand.
Okay. So your advice is if you are really interested, do not have sex on the first date.
Yeah, but and everybody else says don't text
I
back
guess
for 2
that's
days.
why I didn't marry like 500 people.
500? Wow.
I don't know what the number
Okay,
is.
you win.
Yeah, Will Chamberlain over here.
Yeah.
All right, Will, way to go.
Will Chamberlain. Well, she's wearing the Hooter tracksuit today,
Yeah,
so.
I know. Well, she referenced it in a previous show, so I was
Yes.
kind of pleased
That she-
when she opened the door. Caught me. I was just pulling up my pants when she came in, but it was the bathroom door.
The bathroom.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So anal bleaching.
Yeah, I'm
Should we
still
do it
trying
or
to
should
duck
we
that
not?
one. No, I don't think it's necessary. I don't know. I've never seen a bad one.
Okay.
So if you've been told that you have a problem, then it's worth addressing. But it's really got to be a problem.
Yeah, because I wonder, would you even know
Yeah.
if you
As a
were with
guy.
someone
Yeah.
who
Right.
had it bleached?
Right.
Do you
Oh
think you
yeah,
would?
I think you would immediately. I think
You think you would know?
Well, let
if
me ask
someone-
you this: have you ever watched pornography where you can tell right away that the woman in the scene has been bleached?
Yes, in a sense, because it's nobody has skin that's
So
completely.
yes, if I ever saw one.
Although that's what I say, but I've never, studied thousands of women's assholes so that I would
Right.
know a comparison
Yeah.
of what
Right.
the differential
We're
is.
probably
But-
not as familiar with them as you may be. That's
Yeah.
all.
Well,
Other women's assholes.
so some people
Yeah.
have different hobbies. They use the computer for lots of
never
other
know.
things.
Good point.
Yeah, that's what the laptop's for, right?
That's right. That's right. So, what my dating experience after divorce, I've been divorced as well. And my husband and I, we did meet at the gym, but we were friends for a really long time.
Right.
And we were both on different dating apps. And he would ask me out, and I would say no because he was going through a divorce. So it was a tough time for him. So I said, I'm keeping you in the friend zone. So anyway, to the point where he had a Match.com profile, and so did I. And I wrote his profile for him.
Oh,
And I helped him pick out his first few dates. So, yeah, we sat down and I wrote it for him. And then I'm like, she looks interesting. Why don't you go
Were
with
any of
Yeah.
them similar
No.
to you? Just
No.
sort of reflecting back.
No.
I'm curious about the women that you.
I mean, other than he likes slender women,
Right.
that, or take care of them, that are fit. No, they dark hair, whatever. But I went through each one, read their profile with him, and said, yeah, she looks
so
cute.
while you were going through those profiles and creating his,
Mm-hmm.
were you thinking to yourself, I would really like to bang him?
No,
Not at all.
No, to
Total
the point.
friend zone.
Really?
100%
That's
Total
friend
friend
so
zone.
hard.
How about
to
blowing?
understand.
No,
No? Okay.
nothing. It
Not
was,
even hooking up, like nothing.
no, to the point where, as a matter of fact, one night he came over, spent the night at my house, and he started to make a move, and I said, no, you're sleeping on the couch tonight. And I
Started
said,
to make a move.
oh,
Yeah, what was that move though? I'm curious. Like, what is
well,
starting
he
to
just
make
went
a
in
move?
to make out and do it. And I'm like,
Anything.
nope, we're not going there. So that was how we started out. And then the funny thing is, though, to your point, so I made the Match profile. I set him up with Match. Well, he made his own dates. But one day we're at lunch. I was on a business lunch.
Yep.
A restaurant with my insurance guy. He's at the next table over with one of the Match dates that I had picked out for him. That's when I started feeling the little butterflies going, that doesn't feel so good to me all of a sudden.
Yeah, when you saw it.
When I saw it, I was like, wait a minute, that's
Interesting.
not feeling so good.
Interesting.
So then he comes to my restaurant. I owned a restaurant in Maine. He came to my restaurant that night to have a drink because we'd always kind of talk about his dates. And he came and I bought him a drink. We sat at the bar and I said, you know what? I said, I really didn't like how that felt today, seeing you with her. Wow. And I said, so I'm thinking it's time for you to come home with me tonight. And that's when everything turned.
When he came home that night,
Yeah.
was it a be full?
Oh yeah, we sealed the deal.
Done. Okay.
We sealed the deal.
You consummated the relationship.
We consummated, and profiles all got taken down, and that was
Yeah.
we've been together.
Well,
ever
wait,
since.
sealed the deal, like
Full on.
hooked up,
yeah.
Oh yeah.
or did everything.
BANG.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so he.
B-A-N-G.
Yeah. So clearly then he wasn't a guy who thought that.
Yeah, well, they had
okay,
also had the friendship
guys,
beforehand.
We had a
True,
long
but men
friendship.
say that, but I don't necessarily buy it. And then what constitutes what's off the table? Like, is a blowjob okay? Like, is that acceptable?
gotta
But
tell
then
you.
sex isn't.
No, I think that if a girl is willing to do you want your wife to be the person who blew someone else on the first night they met?
Oh.
Because you're probably not, let's be honest, you're probably not the first. So, of anything. I
Interesting.
mean, unless you met when you were in high school. So you got to feel
Yeah.
like, it's the old comedian, oh, did you have sex with her yet? Yeah, great. Was she pretty good the first time you had sex? Like, oh, she was great. How do you think she got that way? And it's because she's done it many times. So, if you have a gift, use it. But it doesn't mean you're going to get married.
Can we talk about that a little when we talk about the whole, if you have a gift? So I have a question to that. I mean, women, we talk about these things a lot. We like to think that we're good at what we do, that men, are happy with how we perform, let's say.
Sure.
So I'm sort of curious to that note, is there, I believe I have a friend who sort of compared blowjobs to asking for a friend. I believe I know someone who compared blowjobs to pizza.
Yep.
And said it's sort of like you're always going to enjoy a slice of pizza. Everybody likes pizza. But certainly you would say that you might go somewhere and the pizza's okay, and then you go somewhere and it's the perfect crispy crust with
100%
the perfect right. So is there a way that a woman can be better at doing it, learn how to do it better? So how, if a woman truly, could you literally get a book, or does it entail having to have a conversation with
I will
the
tell you
guy?
this, from what I've learned for, both giving and receiving in the oral sex area, it's about effort. And it's hard.
Okay.
And it's also the effort, even if you actually don't like doing it, put even more effort into it, because then you're done faster. You finish the job more quickly if you put the most effort into it. And, we've all had, sorry, I started that sentence incorrectly. I've had friends who were tremendously interested in performing oral sex or giving blowjobs. I mean, let's cut through the extra
Men
verbiage.
or women?
No, women.
Okay,
Women
I mean, you
who
have friends of both sex.
Yeah, I do. I'm very friendly with a lot of women, but I don't mean now. Stop. Get out of the gutter. No, but
He's a married man.
back in the day, I had friends who, honestly, you could stop by, and it would come to fruition, and there was no repayment. It was like a 68. You know what a 68 is? You blow me, and I owe you one.
Oh, I hadn't
I
heard
have
that.
never.
Wow.
It's not a 69.
I've
Everybody
not heard
knows
of
what
that.
69 is.
You blow
Wow,
and
I'm
I
gonna
owe you one.
I'm gonna totally bogart that expression. That's hilarious. A 68.
Yeah.
That-
Blow
You blow
me,
me,
and I owe you one.
and I owe you one.
Okay, all right.
So yes, I had a lot of 68s.
There are a lot of. I have to admit, because I talk to women, I'm not talking to guys about oral sex. So there are a lot of women that not only don't like to do it, they're proud of the fact that they don't do it. And then we just got into a somewhat of an interesting conversation about the whole, swallow or spit. And
Right.
I just said, completely being dead serious,
Both.
how does that, well, also, how does it work if you spit? Does the guy tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, it's coming here? Did you ever get it in the eye?
Does it matter? First of all, does it matter to you if a girl swallows or spits?
I think swallowing's a
matter?
lot better. I've been in a long-term relationship with someone who would not swallow, which is fine. You're still, if the effort's there, the desire's there, it's
What
going
makes
to
it
feel
better, though?
good.
Explain that.
I mean, come on,
What makes it better?
it's the obvious.
It just feels-
let's cut right to the
Well, I
chase.
guess it's not obvious.
I'm going to help you here. Your nerve endings.
Women want to know.
Yeah.
Yes.
Your nerve endings when you orgasm as a man, the nerve endings in the tip of your penis go absolutely like, and you know this because this happens in your clit, but they go bananas. So if the woman continues to apply some light pressure
while that's happening,
Okay.
like it's in her mouth, then you're really getting an unbelievable, incredible feeling.
So then that's shocking to me that any woman, if you really care about the partner you're with and you want to be really good at what you do, like I want to be good at everything I do, whether it's running, working out, playing a game. I would think that if they had that actual information and thought about it, who wouldn't want to know that they give a better blowjob?
And you can do that to your man without actually swallowing.
Oh.
But as long as his cock's still in your mouth while that's...
Oh, I see. So you let it go, and then you can spit it out. I got you.
Conversely, I will tell you, and I hope that you all have felt this power, but I can tell you conversely, in a position where I'm in the giving position and things come to fruition, that the ability to hold a woman's entire body frozen and then make it absolutely leap when you know she's having and all you have to do is move your tongue just a little bit and it's like a full twitch, and then you freeze and then you do it again and it's a full twitch. That's the power of oral sex to me, is you're 100% in command of that person's body while they're going through their orgasm.
Were you scared to do it when you were younger? Like because for women, when you first are, think or you hear, or you figure out what a blowjob is, and you realize that you're not just sitting there going,
yeah, it's actually a suck job.
And it's more of like a suck job. Yeah. It's a little bit, you get like nervous. It's something you're not familiar with, complicated. Or do guys get nervous about it?
No, so I grew up in a time long before now where I have some friends, they've said they've never seen a pubic hair in their life. So in those days, it was, and a joke that I believe I could say, Chichi Rodriguez told me this joke. And this was back in the mid-90s, so it was still prevalent. What sound does a pubic hair make? Because as a man, when you were performing oral sex on a woman with bush, and some of these bushes were like 1980s bushes, like Ron Jeremy's mustache down there. I mean, it's absolutely horrible. So nowadays things are much better.
Okay, so now that we've finished our cunnilingus and fellatio lesson 101.
Awful big words.
But it's interesting. It's interesting.
I know the technical term.
Yes, that's true.
When you look at it technically and actually have a conversation about it in terms of being in a relationship, wanting to have a good relationship.
You're raising your hand.
My hand. I'm a retired school teacher. I have had this conversation with a lot of people about, and this is with couples. We'll be at a dinner party and we'll start talking. This was when I was on the dating scene. I was divorced. So it's like a lot of couples and bookers. So I was like the 15th wheel. And invariably, women would start talking to me about sex. And a lot of the guys are like, well, how about those Eagles? Flyers look like they're going to get it back together once again. And I would start talking about sex with the women, and all of a sudden the husbands would chime in. I'm like, if we can talk about tennis and how's your forehand, and my shoulder's hurting a little bit, so I kind of leaning towards my backhand, I'm two-handing it. Why can't we talk about sex? Or you talk about golf, women go to sleep generally, but tennis, pickleball, we should be able to have a sexual conversation.
I think we should be able to talk about anything, and especially when it relates to in the context of having a relationship with someone in communication, which is so important. I think you should be able to talk about
improves the relationship.
Everything. I mean, Sharon and I just had a full-on conversation about colonoscopies. Have you had a colonoscopy?
Yeah. I have. The only regret I have about that was before they put me to sleep, I should have said to them, when I'm asleep, just put me over in the corner and just let me sleep for like 5 hours. I know you need the space.
Isn't it great?
Oh my God, that's the best sleep.
We
it's
said
worth
that.
everything. I didn't think it was all that bad.
I know.
Right?
I didn't have someone come in and introduce themselves to me like, "Hi, Mrs. Rowe, how are you?
Right.
I'll be your technician today. Wind seems up today. Let's definitely get this thing right up there before the storm blows in."
So you've just had one.
I've had one.
Yeah.
And a buddy of mine drove me,
Yeah.
and of course he picks me up and he's got a tarp in the passenger seat. I'm like,
Just in
dude,
case there was like,
no. I mean, it was.
that's funny.
He
But,
did
you
it
know,
as a jokey
To
joke.
your point, though, Lauren and I were just talking about this before you got here, that sex shouldn't be taboo. We should be
No.
able to have open conversations about it. People have been having it since the beginning of time, right?
Yeah.
Like it's an important topic, and why shouldn't we want to learn more about it? And so on our next episode, we're actually going to talk about some of Dr. Ruth's teachings and all of her. I mean, she was very popular in her day and says that you should be having great sex in your 90s, you know? So why not learn more about how to improve that area of our lives, right? And be open about it
And be healthy about
and
it.
be healthy about it.
Well, I
Right,
mean, you
exactly.
should. It's funny that, you know, as a kid, you have this perception that your parents
Never-
don't do
Never
anything.
had. I know.
And
How'd you get here?
I used to use the humongous, you know, jar of Vaseline and, you know, and my parents'
for what?
bedside table to moisturize.
Oh, yeah.
To moisturize my lips. And I thought, how smart. They have a big tub of Vaseline so that anytime their lips feel dry or chapped, they can just scoop it out. It wasn't until later that I thought,
That was a little
my-
Caligula Vaseline.
oh
Yeah.
my God. But, you know, like,
I know.
it's
Agreed.
funny. You just don't, and it shouldn't
Yeah,
be
my parents,
taboo.
I'm sure, and I have, an older brother, younger sister. I don't think that my parents ever had sex. I mean, that's how dumb.
3 times,
Yeah,
that's it?
well,
Just 3 times maybe?
I don't even know if it was 3 times. To be honest, I just can't picture it. And I'm sure that everybody out there,
Yeah.
like, oh, your parents are having sex? Nah, not happening.
Yeah,
Never
but
did it.
sometimes I remember our kids who are bing, 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 right, 3 in a row. And when they were in like 5th grade, 4th grade, 2nd grade, and they were about to do something at school where they talked about sex, you had to sign a waiver. And so we wanted to talk to our older daughter who was in, 4th or 5th
Loved
grade
her.
at the time. And just see what she knew, maybe have a conversation with her so it's a little more comfortable and not embarrassing. And so we sort of said, do you know how babies happen? And she looked at us straight up and said, well, the man takes his penis, he puts it in the woman's mouth, and they have a baby.
That's where
Now,
jewelry comes from.
My husband, right?
That's where jewelry comes from.
That is great.
Wait a minute, not in my house.
My
I did
husband-
something wrong.
My husband was very mature and sort of very calm and said, I was just laughing, which was so bad and wrong. But he just looked at her and said, now, Jordan, think about the rabbits, because Jordan had pet rabbits. And he said, what do the rabbits do? And then suddenly she figured it out. Now, what's interesting is our son, who was only a year, 14 months younger, we pulled him in and said, Jack, do you know how babies are made? And he just wanted to get out of there as fast as possible and just looked at it and said, the man puts his penis in the woman's vagina and they have a baby, and walked away.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah.
Like, didn't want to have any further
done.
conversation.
And then I would
But-
say Davis probably said, oh, yeah, they go out to dinner. He gets a couple they go on some dates. And then all of a sudden, she's on top riding him, and she might even let out a couple woo-hoos.
Yeah.
And then she gets on all fours, and he gets behind her. That's how you have a boy. I mean, I'm sure that her version of the story was a little bit more detailed than Jack's.
Davis's version would definitely be more detailed, and that's why
She's your
her
wild
father and I are hoping
Yeah.
that TikTok will come up with something, or social media, that has like a parent warning. So when you're scrolling through, you can have something on your phone that would say, oh my gosh, this is your daughter, keep scrolling, keep scrolling.
Gosh,
You don't want to see this material.
that's funny.
I had the question about Davis and her Instagram. When are women, or Paulina Gretzky, or some of these Instagram accounts?
She is beautiful.
When are women going to start just going out nude? I mean, right now they're going to the beach barely wearing a bottom and hardly wearing a top.
It is funny
At some
when we're
point,
just
we're
having
like,
this.
we know what a nipple looks like, and that's the only thing you have covered.
But you know what's funny about that? women have issues with nipples. I have always worn nipple covers with certain dresses, not because I am concerned at all about someone seeing my nipples. I don't want to get the stink eye from women when I walk into a party and you can see my nipple through a dress.
Fembot.
Yeah.
Men like it. Women seem to have an issue, but I do think I guess everyone has the line, because it's so true that someone will see a woman out in something which she's got way more clothing than if you saw her on the beach in a thong, but there's such a problem. It is interesting as a society, the way we as Americans we were talking about sex a minute ago, treat the female body. It's interesting.
And body shaming. And I loved your episode when you talked about, women who can get catty or just be jealous of other women and not share in their success. I don't think men go through that. I think that when, one of my friends gets a great job, you're like, dude, that's awesome. Let's celebrate or do something to make sure you recognize and remember this moment. And then you're there for him when, a friend of mine, his father passed away yesterday. And I called him. I said, I know it's a tough night. Call me when you're ready. Text me back that you got this. And gave him a couple heart emojis, which you can call what they did. But he's a good guy. And his father passed away. His dad lived in Arizona, so they weren't close. They didn't see each other every day. But it was still, it's a moment in your life, which I've had happen to me. Both parents. I'm an orphan.
Oh,
It's okay. I had great parents.
I think women get together for stuff like that, though, don't you?
They do get together for stuff like that. And to that note, Booker, I've said, because Sharon and I have had this conversation about losing our parents when we were younger, and you now have lost both your parents, but that you got to just acknowledge it right away. You don't want to not acknowledge it, see the person or talk to the person like a month later, and to me, then it's too late.
Yeah.
I do think women are good, at doing that. I just wish that they were better at supporting one another. I mean, when the whole Caitlin Clark phenomenon happened, and it was everywhere in the media about the disparity with how much the NBA players make versus the WNBA. And I said to my friends, well, look, you're talking about the NBA making billions of dollars compared to millions for the WNBA. And I said, either show up or shut up. So have you bought a ticket? Have you bought apparel? So I wasn't in the place to be able to buy a ticket to see Caitlin Clark play, but I bought apparel.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I figured that's one way I can contribute.
Shocking that you would buy it out by some sort of clothing item. I've known Trophy for a very, very long time. May or may not have even taught her how to water ski with, 9, 10 years old?
That is
Athlete,
right.
total athlete.
Booker Corrigan, who back then was known as Scott Corrigan.
Yeah.
I must have been, 10 or 11 years old. We went to a camp on the Chesapeake Bay in Maryland for the entire month of July, and everybody knew Scott Corrigan. All the young girls loved Scott Corrigan.
Because I was a good water ski teacher.
You were a great water ski teacher. You were easy on the eye.
These two would come down. She and Catherine would come. And you've already talked about this on the show, where you guys were as skinny as racing lizards.
And looked like
lean.
boys. Yeah.
And you'd have this bathing suit on, and it's baggy down. It looks like a 1930s bathing suit. I'm surprised the world didn't go to black and white and have a cap on your head all of a sudden. But no. So you'd get up on the skis. I'd be sitting in the water, get in the right position, be like, okay, go. And the boat goes, and both you and Kat both got up on the first try. But your bathing suits are like hanging down back behind you. I'm like, the Trope sisters, just awesome. Great athletes, and you guys were fun too. That's the best. When you're a counselor at a camp and you have kids who are just fun and are like cheering for their friends when they get up for the first time, or they're there for their friend when they can't get up, because there's always those kids too who just can't figure it out. So,
I loved overnight camp. I think it was just a wonderful opportunity to hang with kids from all over. That camp also, which was kind of cool, brought in counselors from Europe, which was pretty cool. Yep. You would keep in touch with those kids. Your parents would come visit, send you the care packages. I mean, food was a big thing.
Oh, yeah.
You would have thought we were all starving. Like getting...
Especially the
how skinny they were.
The Troasters.
Right?
That's funny. So I'm just meeting you. So I hear
Yeah.
you're quite the athlete, and you worked on ESPN?
I do some broadcasting with ESPN up until when our executive producer sees this episode. Then I'm probably done. But no, I do a lot of play-by-play.
For
men's and women's college basketball and high school football for the Ravens. I probably shouldn't bring that up. Kidding. No, and a lot of men's and women's lacrosse.
Okay, and you played lacrosse?
Yes, played lacrosse and ice hockey in college.
Okay. Where'd you go to college?
I went to Roanoke College.
Roanoke. Okay.
Some of my scoring records are still intact.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
He has this group of friends that I know from Roanoke College that have been friends since they met
since
their
the 80s.
freshman year. It is insane. And their kids are friends with one another. It is this big group. And they, married, and their spouses are now part of the group. You have a really, really good group of friends.
And you guys were talking about the cruise that you went on where you're kind of sequestered with your gang. And we just did Vegas where we weren't really sequestered because we were, jumping around so many different places. But on the boat, we have a vacation we do up in the Adirondacks every year, and it's 20, so it's 20 couples and all their kids. It's like 55 total people. And you're there for 6 days. It's a Hall of Fame place. The place cannot get any better. And they've, lakes on both sides. So the property is actually an isthmus. Word of the day, which is a narrow strip of land between two bodies of water, like the Isthmus of Panama.
Okay.
Yeah, see, you learn something every day.
I knew what an isthmus was.
Isthmus be my lucky day.
Does China control that? Does China control that isthmus up in the Adirondacks, like Panama? Or
No. Our isthmus,
thank God.
Our isthmus is well controlled and very secure.
That makes me feel much better.
And of course, the first year I take Tanya, she has no idea what she's going through.
That's got to be hard for your wife. You get remarried. All these people have been going there together.
Well, that is
all of these years.
Well, she's been there probably 5 times now. So she was there before we got married. She came up, and they always give like the rookie couple the greatest cabin. Oh yeah. So there we were. I mean, the cabin was way bigger than the room that we're sitting in right now.
Yeah.
No offense. I know I know I'm probably going to get smacked at some point. No, it's a luxury. They have a lot of balls calling it a cabin. It's like a log house with a Posturepedic bed. The first year we went there, I was actually still married to my ex-wife, Jen, who's the most amazing person in the world. We had to tell the kids on the ride home.
She is. I love your ex-wife.
We had to tell the kids on the ride home, please don't tell your friends that you were camping. Even though it's called a camp. It's not. Right. You were not camping. That's glamping.
How long were you married the first time?
9 years. So we got married in 97. And we got divorced. So probably 10 years. I think 10.
So you just kind of grew apart?
Yeah. And wisely. And she's an unbelievable person. I will tell you one of the greatest moments of my life. Well, I had 2 of them, each separately. My kids are now, 24 and 22. And they said to me each individually, they said, Dad, one of the things that we've loved about you is you never, ever once said a bad thing about our mom.
Oh my gosh, Booker.
And I never did because
so important.
I will take to my girl. Like I love Tanya, and Tanya is my wife, and I'm standing by her for everything that we're going through. But Jen, gave me 2 of the greatest kids you could ever possibly hope for, and we have a great life together. She has a new husband who I actually took golfing him up at Marion Golf Club, which isn't too shabby. And he's a great guy, and he loves my kids. So why shouldn't I love him? So he and I would consider him a friend. So it worked out very well. I know there's a lot of, your father was a divorce attorney, probably went through a lot of, you shut your mouth when you're talking to me. That's right. Go comatose for the day. It's the beginning of Wedding Crashers.
No, but I
can keep going.
I love that. And again, my story's similar. My ex-husband is a great guy, married a great lady. She had 5 kids of her own, and he took on that family. And
wow.
Yeah, and we have 2 together. But yeah, same thing. We're friendlier now than we were. I mean, not that we call each other and go out for a drink or anything, but we get along great. He gets along great with Scott. Scott gets along great with him, and I get along great with Diana, his wife. So yeah, it's been really, really nice. And even after the divorce for a while, before we had significant others, we would still celebrate Christmas and Thanksgiving together. And so yeah, it's good when it can be healthy for the children.
It definitely is. But in fairness, just to be a little devil's advocate, I certainly want to put it out there. I've had this conversation with my husband, and I think it's, certainly wonderful if people can get along, and certainly it's important for the children, and it's the best route to go. But I will be the first to admit, if my husband had an affair with his 20-year younger secretary and left me for her, I would have a really hard time being. I'd like to think that I would rise to the occasion for my kids,
but it's nice.
But I'm acknowledging the fact I don't know if I could. I'm not going to sit here and say that, I would be the bigger person because I know it's important for my kids. I might be like horrible, and the person that would be like batshit crazy.
She hasn't had to go. It's a hypothetical. It's clearly a hypothetical for you. The best thing you can have in life is a happy ex, which is great. Yeah. And the other thing is, like, we have obstacles, we have challenges. You and Gabby it's such a gift that you found each other, and because you are a unique couple that is obviously clearly crazy in love, but also so perfect for one another, that the fact that your universes collided is great for us to see. Yeah, whether you're single, married, divorced, second marriage, whatever it is, watching Lauren and Gabby hang out it's just fun to be there.
It is funny though, because lots of people say that to us, and we appreciate it, but you do get a little laugh in the fact that people almost say it in a way like, you guys are each so fucked up that nobody else would be with you.
I am so glad
no one else would have you.
I was trying to say
that way,
that's exactly what I was trying to say.
You found each other.
Sharon and Aubrey were having our side. Do you want to say it? I'll say it.
I got really
I'll
quiet.
say it. Listen,
you got very quiet, Sharon.
Wacko. No, we talked about this before the show. I said, I'll bring it up.
I'm just going to sit over here.
You guys are so cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs that it works perfectly. No, it's always a good time.
Well, if you look at Sharon and Scott both look like cake toppers.
Yeah.
Ken and Barbie.
Ken and Barbie, the man and woman that go on, you look for the perfect, that's
topper.
Gabby and I.
Especially with the boots.
Right?
Yeah, we got the boots going on.
Gabby and I would be like at the dollar store, on sale for $1.99. Sharon and Scott would be like, the uber expensive version that you need to spend a lot of money to get them on your cake topper.
By the way, Sarasota, Florida has the greatest Goodwills and thrift stores in any city. I don't, yes,
they do.
Per capita or whatever it is, I can't go a week without going into one Goodwill, and usually that means I have to go to another one that day or the next day. We have a thrift shop, what's it called? Mission Thrift is right next to our house, so I'll spin in there.
Do you have a problem shopping, Booker?
No.
And it's okay.
No, I do not. A lot of,
this is
75% of the time I walk out with nothing.
You're in a safe
zone. Yes, retail therapy is not my therapy. As I like to say, I go to therapy so I can deal with all the friends of mine that don't go to therapy. It helps.
Why do you think the Goodwills here are so great? Because I said the same thing. They're fantastic. I got a pair of True Religion jeans with crystals on the butt, on the pockets, that still had the tag for $300 on them. Wow. And I got them for $19.99. And I don't think I've even worn them yet. I was just so happy to get these $300 jeans for $19.99.
The other thing, that's a great score. But the other thing they do is they'll do yellow tags, 50% off, and then blue tags, 50% off. So if you could have gotten those on a blue, you would have gotten them for $10.
That's crazy.
And they still, and a lot of stuff still have.
Have you been to the Goodwill downtown that you buy by the bin?
No. Oh, yes. It's not a Goodwill though. It's
it's like the big
Goodwill.
Yeah,
it's like the mystery bin or something.
No, you go in and it's the craziest thing I've ever been to. It is the Goodwill. It's the warehouse. Okay. It's like either before or after it's been at the store. And everybody lines up on either side. They have this section taped off, and you line up on either side of the tape. And they come out with these massive bins. And if you step over the line, you're kicked out. They blow the whistle, and this row of a train of bins comes
literally
out.
kicked out.
Literally. If you step over too soon to get in there and look through the bins before everybody else, you will be called out. And they'll be like, nope, you got to leave.
Gandhi.
Yeah, they are serious about
Wow.
their Goodwill thrifting. I couldn't believe it. I went with my sister-in-law. So they bring out this like 10 or 12 bins. And then when they blow the whistle, everybody goes into the bin that's in front of them and just starts going crazy. And you pay by the pound for whatever
Wow.
you buy. It's insane.
Interesting.
It's
That's
insane.
crazy. I'm just feeling bad for
It's
the
insane.
person that gets kicked out because they didn't know. It makes me think of
Oh, they know. Everyone
Oh,
tells
they
you.
know.
Oh, everyone says, back up.
Okay.
Back
Yeah,
up.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's
there's-
like code.
Yeah. No.
Code.
Like shopper's code.
There's a bar
Oh, yeah.
on South
they know.
Street in Philadelphia called Bud and Barbara's. And it is a great bar. It's a late night spot on South Street, a lot of action late night. And they have a special called the Citywide Special. It's $6 for a PBR and a shot of Jack Daniels. And there is nothing more fun than saddling up to the bar and watch these cute little girls come in that all look
With
like
their
David.
six-
No, and they come in and they ask the bartender, "Hi, I'd like the citywide special, but can I substitute the shot of Jack with like a lemon drop or a blow job?" And the bartender looks at them and says, "Get the fuck out."
Yeah.
And then the bouncer comes over and kicks them out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And there is no tolerance.
No substance. It's like
Yeah.
match
No
Yeah.
substitutions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Substitutions are not allowed. So it's like stepping over the line, Sharon.
I know.
So now I know.
Stepping over the line.
Talk
Yeah.
about stepping over the line.
we'll
Let's
go
cover
there.
some footwear.
Okay.
She got some mid-thigh, I'd say knee-high boots.
Yep.
Not
A
bad.
little bit over the knee. Yep.
Bangable.
Leather on
Right?
the front
You
and
could-
suede on the back.
Yeah, you can wear those as earrings. Now, let's talk about the Tropester with
Yes.
the Fuck Me pumps and their Louboutin.
Louboutin,
Oh.
the red bottom.
Nothing.
Yeah.
I
Those
mean,
are, do you call them Fuck Me pumps?
I
Because
call
that's
them
what
lubes.
guys call them.
Lubes.
Well, I mean, if you
which-
wear pumps.
you know
not
what's
just
funny?
lubes,
My
just-
mother-in-law calls them CFMs. Come fuck me.
Yeah.
My
CFMP.
mother-in-law.
We had CFM, Come Fuck Me
Come
pumps.
fuck me pumps. And I thought, what better to go with a Hooters tracksuit than Christian Louboutin heels?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm a classy girl, Booker.
But
Very
we were
classy.
talking about this. Do guys like tall boots or do they like
Yeah.
the CF? What'd you call them?
I would say
CF?
both. I mean,
CFM.
Both.
something,
CFMs.
something legit. Something.
Legit.
Yeah.
Okay, just something.
And I had two Wendy's up in Baltimore. One Wendy has a significant other, Joe, who's the greatest guy, and his gal Wendy was in my phone as Wendy, fuck me shoes. And the other Wendy, because they were in the same friend group, the other Wendy was Wendy responsible. And you hang out with them, and you would not, I mean, without looking at her shoes, you would look at both of them and say, okay, she's leaning towards the fuck me shoes. And then responsible Wendy would tell someone like, you may have had enough wine. We want you to keep it. You're like, that's responsible Wendy. That's fuck me shoes, Wendy. Show me the shoes. And you'd be like, got it.
That's
No, they are fun.
I know which Wendy I want to be. I mean, you could say anything
I
about
think
me.
we know which
You
Wendy.
can call me man face. You can tell me the newest is a weak Courtney Love. But if you tell me that my shoes look comfortable, I'm going to kill myself. Like, I do not want comfortable
So
shoes.
we were in Vegas last weekend. Thank you.
were.
It was unbelievable. We were lucky to be there.
Unbelievable.
My wife Tanya had never been to Vegas, so that was a big trip. We did the helicopter ride around the city at night. But then on
Any action
Friday
on the
night,
helicopter?
we
Oh boy.
no, we did not. Well, a little, handy. But no, we had a guy who got on our helicopter who had to be 6'5" to 320. So the
big boy.
pilot, Seth, says to him, you have to sit in the middle back. And then his wife sat on the outside of him, and then Tanya and I told Tanya to take the window.
Oh, so
I
you
was-
weren't seated next to each other?
No.
Wow.
So they can fit 6 guests, but we only had 2 other guests with, so we were a total of 4. Took some great video, went to the Sphere, went all the way up and down the Strip. He would hover over the Bellagio fountains for us. I mean, it was really well done. And she, like I said, she'd never been to Vegas, so that was a great way to check that off.
Yeah, I asked her how she felt if she got sick. Some people get in a helicopter and get really nauseous.
She didn't get, not at all. At least I don't know what she told you. She's like, get me out of here. I hate this place. place.
Well, it's cool that you both liked it, because it's a bummer if you do something like that
Yeah.
and you feel like you didn't really like it or you didn't get your money's worth. I mean, it certainly sounded really cool.
Very
so
cool.
I'm glad.
You ever been to Vegas?
I love Vegas.
Oh, you like to play blackjack?
I love Vegas. Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I don't like to play black. I'm with her. Roulette, Moron's Paradise.
Yeah.
What I bet doesn't affect you in any way.
People can be mean on the blackjack table.
Yeah.
And I don't like. I'm a middle child.
Yeah.
I'm a middle, like, for my whole life.
Yeah.
So I can't go to a blackjack table and
deal with the
It's also, if you take the right card for you. If the dealer's showing a 5 and you're showing 14,
You don't take a card.
but if the dealer's showing
A 10.
9 or
Right.
a 10,
And you have a 4,
and
you have to take a card.
you have
Yeah.
to take a card.
Correct.
And then the dealer flips over a 4, so now they have 13, and the card you took was a king. Everyone at the table's
Hate you.
like, "You're a fucking."
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
So I
But
can't.
and it's the same if the person next to you screws
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
they can affect you too.
I hate
yeah.
being responsible for someone else losing.
That
I'm not
would
even.
cost me too much stress. That's why I do roulette.
Yeah.
There's nothing easier than just picking a number.
I will say I did play blackjack one time I had $300 in my hand, and it was just me against the dealer.
Yeah.
And I ran into a hot dealer. It was really fun. I lost like 10 hands in a row. I was only betting $5 a hand.
Yeah.
But I'm literally like, dude, can you stop giving me 13?
Yeah,
But I wonder
sucks.
at what point,
That
like,
sucks.
what's your cutoff? Like you said, you lost 10 hands in a row.
Yeah, so I lost
why
50
not
bucks.
stop? Like
I did.
Did you keep? So 10 was your
Yeah.
cutoff.
So 10 hands in a row. I'm like, dude, I'm going to wait till somebody else shows up because I'm not sitting here. You literally have dealt yourself blackjack
Right.
4 times.
I have to tell you a blackjack story, a funny one. So we're in Aruba.
Does it end in a sex?
No.
You didn't get laid that night?
No.
Okay, so you're in Aruba. I've been there.
In
Been to
Aruba,
Aruba.
at a casino.
Yeah.
And so this was in, I don't know, December. We had just came from a Halloween party,
Mm-hmm.
like in October, obviously. And we won, Scott and I won the prize for best costume, right?
Oh.
So we won $300. So we get the money, and they're $100 bills. Well, I'm thinking I'm going to save this money, right? So I take it to the
Boring.
I take it to the casino. Now this is at our friend Mary's house. No, it's not. Trust me.
Suck. Your crowd just
Trust me. We go to the casino at Aruba, and I'm pulling out my $100 bill, and I'm putting it on the table, and the person goes, "I'm sorry, ma'am, this is counterfeit." It gets better. And I'm looking at her going, "It is not counterfeit. What are you talking about?" She goes, "It says right here, not legal tender. This is counterfeit." And it looks real, right? And I'm like, "No way." I said, "I won this and as the words are coming out of my mouth, Halloween party trick, right?" It was the trick. And I'm like, shit.
God.
Only money I had in my pocket, right? That's all. And so she calls the pit boss over because I'm arguing with her.
Yeah.
And she calls the pit boss over and she's like, "Ma'am,
It
you're passing
says right
counterfeit
here.
money."
It's
I'm
not
like,
even counterfeit.
I could have ended up at an Aruban prison.
No, I
They would've,
think
like, been like,
at some
"Come on,
point
lady."
they would have said not legal tender. Like that's not passing
It
off
said
counterfeit
like
money.
not transferable.
So what do you
Yeah.
think about this? Our
So,
girlfriend
it was
likes
bad.
to put a fake $100
Yeah, that's
bill
what- yeah.
and leave it on the sidewalk, either with a string or just a fake one entirely,
Just
and likes
drops
to
it. Yeah.
watch people's reaction as they pick it up. And some pick it up and leave it. Others will pick it up and they sort of look around to see, and you can literally see their face as they're thinking, should I ask that person right there if they dropped it, or do I
Right.
just stick it? You can literally witness the moment where you see it going in their mind, trying to think, do I do the right thing or do I just pocket the $100 bill and walk off? And I'll tell you that I think Sharon would say, because she's been sitting there with me as well, that 9 out of 10 people they all hesitate, but they stick it in their pocket and walk off.
Yeah.
They don't ask the person sitting right there.
I learned at a very young age. So my mom took me to New York City with my dad. They took us all when we were 12. So it was like the solo trip with your parents. And we're walking out of Grand Central Station. And a guy, in those days, they had billfolds that they would put in their thing. And I guess he was pulling out a bunch of 20s or whatever to figure out his cab thing. And he pulled them out, and one of his 20s goes twirling through the air. And I'm 7 feet behind him, and I'm like, and I look at my mom, and she goes, Go give it to him.
Give it back.
So I walk up and tap him on the shoulder and, sir, this fell out of your wallet. He looks at me, he goes, that is the nicest thing. And I figured, you know what? That feeling's worth more than $20.
I agree, Bucker.
And that lesson, for my mom, she was like, thank you. I'm glad he caught that.
Yeah.
Little numbnuts caught one. Little numbnuts made a catch. Let me Timmy Lupus made a catch.
It is a good lesson, and it does feel good. You know?
And you want your kids to feel those good lessons. It's so hard to, again, like you say, it's a faux pas to talk about sex. And I hope my kids never hear some of the stuff that we talked about.
Why?
But it also
Shouldn't they be okay with it?
Right.
It should be part of life. It should be like talking about tennis.
You don't get older and shrivel up and die.
Right.
You know,
I wouldn't mind doing some shriveling though.
Most men don't want to shrivel.
Well, believe me, no. She didn't tell you. Yeah, so I'm fine there. No, I'm talking about the rest.
But seriously, that's
other areas we're talking. Okay, fair enough.
Hopefully that will change because it shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't be uncomfortable. I mean, it's sort of like the European thing with women going topless. And here, I mean, I can remember my girls being like 9 years old with no boobs, and people were just aghast that they only had bottoms on the beach as though it was inappropriate or...
This is Davis and Jordan?
Davis and Jordan.
Wow.
I know.
And we grew up when there wasn't even sunblock.
We used aluminum foil, actually, with oil, remember?
We used to just be bent over the sand, build a sandcastle, and the next day your back is just blistering red, and you're like, oh, and your parents are like, they haven't invented spray sunblock yet. I'm just waiting. Now we have it everywhere you turn.
Everywhere.
Well, we're having so much fun, and I hate to end this, but we have to bring it to. Yeah. I know it's been. I
want to hear the comments. Unless you're my kids, then keep your comments.
Well, Booker was our first male guest, so we've really enjoyed having
the icebreaker.
The icebreaker for other men.
And boy, did we break that ice!
Yeah, we did. Is there anything else you want to cover before we close? Lauren, did you want to talk about the poker game?
Yes, actually, Booker, we do like to ask our guests.
Yes.
And we normally say something as well, but we like to ask our guests, what's something that you would tell your younger self?
I will tell you this. I'm a retired school teacher, and those were some of the best and most meaningful days of my life without question. I would just say, invest some money wisely so that you don't grow up poor.
Yeah.
And, it's the golden rule, treat others not how you want to be treated, but treat others how you wish they believe they want to be treated. How do you think because a lot of people.
I like that.
I grew up, playing sports. And if someone says like, oh, you suck, or this, that might really bother someone else. And if you know them well enough where it's going to bother them, don't treat them that way. Treat other people how you believe they wish to be treated.
Right.
And that was my thing. And, help people grow into the best version of themselves. If I missed one of my kids' games, which I actually I did that intentionally. I'm not the parent that goes to every game.
Yeah, me either.
No way. And my parents weren't. My mom, rivalries and playoffs. And I always ask my kids, were you a good teammate? And did you have fun with your friends? And even after Cole, my son, was playing, starting goalie for Washington College lacrosse or Ithaca lacrosse, I would say, were you a good teammate? Did you have fun with your friends? And every time he's like, yeah. And I would say, how were you a good teammate? He'd say, somebody threw the ball out of bounds one time and I came over to him in the huddle. And I'm like, hey, look, don't worry about it. We're going to get him. You're one of the best players we have. That's why you're out on the field. Keep playing well. Right. Get your head up. And shockingly, he's going in to be a psychologist, mental performance coach.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
And my daughter is a senior at Villanova who is going to be an environmental science, or she is an environmental science major. So we'll see how that turns into a career.
Well, I've had a lot of fun getting to know you better. So
thank you
for
I've had fun being here.
Being willing to.
Although I was I didn't know where we were going to go with some of these places. Got a little beaten up on the sides. I was like, I don't know what's going to happen. And if my kids disown me, you know what? I think it might be their loss.
I think we were pretty gentle. I think we were gentle, don't you?
I think we were gentle.
We could have gone
did
harder.
bring up anal bleaching, just for the record.
Yeah.
It's a hot topic, apparently. It's a hot topic. Thank you very much for being here.
Love being here.
Lauren, cheers.
Cheers.
Booker,
cheers.
Cheers.
Peace out.